Hello everyone and welcome back to Victoria 3. We are continuing our Austrian Ironman today and building ports in our new colonies, as we have taken a rather weird path for Austria, a bit of an experimental one for myself as well, as I've never really tried this before as Austria in Vicky 3, and well, so far it's proving quite interesting. Our industrial capabilities and construction capabilities are keeping pace quite well. Standard of living has had its dips and raises, but so far we're doing okay. And we do have a rising issue of radicals in Hungary, mostly because of, let's see, standards of living, but also discrimination, which is going to be a big problem moving forward unless we can pass some laws to lower that. But as it stands right now, that's not all that likely. We have overwhelming support for national supremacy, and the only interest group supporting anything else, let alone racial segregation as an improvement, which, geez, that should not be taken out of context by anyone, is the intelligentsia, which I have been suppressing. So perhaps it's time to unsuppress the intelligentsia, so let's go ahead and increase government wages, which I know is not technically suppression or not, but I think we might actually have to promote them as well. So in order to do that, we will have to go to the intelligentsia screen, and bolstering would cost 200 authority a week, so we have to get rid of a couple of our state decrees, and that is going to be to, well, I kind of like the promote social mobility. Let's get rid of the national values there, boost that to 287, and then we can come over to the intelligentsia and bolster them. So this will hopefully increase our intelligentsia support and be able to move us closer to resolving the matter of Hungary. In the meantime, however, we have a lot of spare influence, and this is because most of my diplomatic actions for improving relations have hit their cap with France, Great Britain, and a couple others, so let's go ahead and increase with Spain as well. No real point in increasing with Ottomans, and my damaged relations with our German neighbors is proceeding at pace. Of course, this will allow us to conquer parts of Germany once we, stop focusing inward quite as hard as we currently are. As it stands, low market access is only still in the Austrian Ivory Coast, which is currently building its port, so that will be resolved. Our only input goods shortage is steel, but that's not quite the whole picture, as we do have, if you look at our trade routes, we're importing wood, we are importing tools, we're importing sugar, dye, clippers, coffee, quite a lot, so we need to strengthen our economy before we're going to be able to do much more. The export of luxury furniture is not my favorite thing either, as we are, I guess, yeah, it's decently expensive, 43%. If we weren't exporting that, we wouldn't have to deal with that, but still. Next things that we will need to build, we do need a lot more iron. However, we will also soon need to build railroads, so we'll need some motor industries. Of course, we can't quite build railroads, but if we look at the research, it's really close. So let's go ahead and take a look here. Food industries are critical, so we're going to have to do, and so are chemical plants. Railways are going to have to unfortunately wait just a little bit, but let's go ahead and get some motor industries set up, and I think I want those concentrated in Tyrol. I think that'll be good. Well, not a lot of men in Tyrol, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and get that going. Not a lot of farming there either, if memory serves. So we'll do that, and then we will go ahead and get more iron, because we need a lot of iron. We don't have nearly enough right now, and we can do a lot of that in Bohemia. So let's go ahead and get just a ton of iron manufacturing. This will, of course, help our industries. And once we can get a little bit further in industrialization, the radicals generation should drop because of increases in quality of life. Our population growth is not spectacular. 0.33% really isn't enough to keep pace. And if we look at GDP, especially compared to how it was last time, we are relatively well keeping pace. France is doing pretty well. Russia, we've closed the gap now to within 10 million per week, so that should continue to close as we move on. And I mean, the East India Company being as strong as it is just hilarious. For those of you who don't have the game maybe or aren't as familiar with it, they of course are technically British subjects, even though right now I think they have a higher GDP than Great Britain, which, that's kind of hilarious. Meanwhile, Hudson Bay Company, Columbia District, there's a lot of British colonies around here, and it's going to take quite a while for us to be able to challenge them with our own empire, given that we still haven't had any increase in size in our colonies in Africa. But once again, we don't have any competition at present in this region, so that should be pretty nice. We are fighting with the French and with the British in the north, but it seems like for some reason they're limiting their colonial ambitions a bit more than we are right now. If we take a look at money, I mean, Here's the thing. The more colonies we have, the more we have to invest into their infrastructure, the more we have to invest into their plantations and things like that. But also, the wider the variety of goods we can get. We've already built, I think, a couple coffee plantations, yes, in Niger Delta and South Cameroon. If we take a look at our markets, because of that, we have, comparatively cheap coffee. It's much more cheap than it used to be. We're selling 205, some through trade, admittedly, but some through coffee plantations. So if you can boost those up even more, that'll be nice, but it'll have to wait until after we handle our industrial sector and get our railroads going. The reason for that is right now we have low market access in Bohemia, and that's a problem because these, southern Transylvania and all that, the only way to improve your market access in a landlocked state, to my knowledge, is with railroads, because you can't build ports. So we need to have railroads throughout the entire country before we are able to really skyrocket our production even that next little bit. In the meantime, however, we are getting some increasing investment from capitalists, so 34,000 a week is very nice. It's not enough to build up any sort of reserves, as we're spending 112,000 a week on construction goods. Most of that is coming from iron, so it will be nice to get those iron mines built. Wood's still comparatively cheap. Tools, we built a lot of tools factories for a reason, but the steel will be required to get, I believe, our motor industries going. So yep, 30 steel becomes 40 engines. Coal and iron becomes, okay, so each one gives us 65. So roughly every steel mill can support 2 motor industries at full capacity, which will be pretty nice, pretty required, to be honest, in order to get a lot of railroads without having to worry about steel shortages. We do want to eventually be exporting iron and steel, but honestly that plan is looking less and less possible as I'm just struggling to keep up with my own demand. Now, maybe that's because I don't quite have enough construction going on, but we're barely in the positive, and I would like to lower taxation soon because we're up to nearly a full 18% or so radicals in our population, and that is on the train for disaster. So railways are unlocked. Of course, we can't get any rail transportation right now because if we did, we'd immediately have shortages all across the country, so I am a little bit late on getting us ready for that. But let's go ahead and start researching pharmaceuticals. Then as soon as that's done, we'll switch back over to production here, and we'll follow the Bessemer process to improve our steel production, probably also fractional distillation to get our food industries going just that little bit more. I don't know. I mean, it's a bit of a tough choice. Water tube boilers are very nice. Actually, might want that. No, we need Bessemer, then water tube boilers, just to get our resource base a little bit better. Then we'll go over to the eastern side here of the, right-hand side. Jeez, I'm playing too much war game. West and east instead of right and left. Authority suppressed is not great. No, we are not taking a quality of life modifier because we're already dipping down our standard of living, and that's already causing problems with radicals, so we can't afford that right now or anything close to it at all. The food industry should help sort that out, but looks like we're also missing dyes. Can I make, yes, dye plantations. Nice. Let's build 2 in Austria and Togo and 2 in the Niger Delta, and let's rush those because that is causing economic turmoil at the moment. Okay, Armed Forces approval is deactivated. Shit. So one of the ways to get an edge in wars is to have a strong Armed Forces interest group, because basically that and your generals modifiers are the only things that are going to be able to push you over your base technology performance. So if we want to have an edge, we need to be cutting edge technology, but we also need strong institutions and strong generals to really provide that last little bit of a kick. So dye shortages, I'm not going to create a trade route quite yet because that should be resolved soon. Actually, you know what? I say that, but let's just go ahead and import from the Brits. For right now, it is pretty cheap, and I don't want good shortages. And once we make enough, we will, of course, be able to cancel that trade route. This is how everything gets interconnected and a little overcomplicated. It's always the, well, we'll be able to, and then if we never do, we end up, holding... No, I'm not going to complete that one, but leave it to your own imagination. So it's not exactly where we want to end up. 124 weeks for production. Okay, but let's complete the iron mines as well. Motor industry's done in 85 weeks. You know, I hate to do this because I'm not sure that we can support it, but I think we need it in order to keep up with the rate that things are happening in the country. So let's go ahead and build up a couple more construction centers in Istria and Lombardy. We'll fill those up to 15 next before we move anywhere else. I think that'll be a good thing for us right now, just to get everything done that little bit faster. Of course, fast construction is essentially the name of the game, because you need goods to make people happy. You need to be able to construct factories in order to make your goods. So it's kind of a race for production capacity, and that is reflected in the effect that production capacity has on being able to increase your GDP. So higher GDP, higher ability to create goods, in theory, happier populace, more successful country. It doesn't always work out that way, but we'll do what we can. We have solved our goods shortages for right now, but low market access is popping up. We really need those railways. Basically, we need them 2 years ago, and we still don't have them, so a bit of faulty play on my part. But yeah, it's easier to do as France or Great Britain that starts with that technology, because you can build a steel mill or two within a couple railroads and a couple motor car, well, I guess what are they called here? Motor industries, I suppose. Now, one of the late game challenges we'll have is that those motor industries will switch to creating cars instead of trains, and we at present have no way of accessing rubber. That's part of what we're doing. The colonization game 4 is to get more access to exotic goods and be able to use those to solve our own shortages, but we need to be able to move over here into Sulawesi and Pau Pau. So I think we did declare an interest, and we can create a colony in Celebes, but we don't have quinine, so we can't do anything else. No other available places for me to declare an interest, but we are cutting off the Dutch a little bit. It doesn't look like they're even building up here yet. If we can take the island of Celebes, that would be pretty nice. Let's go ahead and get a port going. And yeah, we can see right now this would give dyes, coffee, tobacco potentially. All of that is very nice to not have to trade for, but our standard of living has dropped like a stone. So we were up at 12.2, now we're down to 11.7. And most of that is reflected in, it looks like, wine, grocery cost. We're going to need more sulfur soon as well. Part of that's in response to building up even more industrial capacity. Ineffective agriculture is a problem. Oh, geez. I don't really want to have... Well, we should be able to get the plus... Yes, good. Good. So we were at 11. The breakpoint is between 10 and 9, so we were able to take that approval hit instead of the radicalization hit without too much trouble. Okay, so that looks fine. We haven't crashed yet, which is the goal, right? I know I'm posting this and it's supposed to be some sort of really good plays for yada yada, but I make no pretense of being phenomenal at this game. I'm just having a good time, and if you guys have a good time, then that works for me. We will also need to integrate Krakow, but let's take a look. So, Prussians have 150 regular battalions, 51 conscripts, 260 for the French, 285. If we can get... So, right now we're researching passively General Staff. General Staff will increase our infantry to skirmish infantry. If we can get up to skirmish infantry and we can get a little bit better of a military base, we might be able to start making moves in Bavaria, particularly because we do have that French alliance. So the two of us against even Prussia and Russia is going to be pretty backwards. It might take them a little while to match that increase in technology, which should allow us to defend decently well. And incorporating Bavaria would be nearly 5 million in GDP. Of course, it will go down due to devastation and some other things. Deleterious effects of war on our own country. But we might be able to start incorporating parts of Germany, and that would be a pretty nice thing. So I want to form Germany before the end of the game. That would be ideal. I also want to see if we can, once we form Germany, maybe go after Italy or securing the Balkans, something like that. I, of course, do want to port this over to Hearts of Iron 4 if possible, and have just an interesting situation there. I mean, we'll go democratic. We're not going to do anything crazy. We're not gonna follow what Germany did in real life, because that seems kind of bad. But we're not Prussia. We're Austria. We are, of course, the good, true Germany. of the time frame. Oh, that's awful. But enjoyable nonetheless, so that's why I've done it. Another thing I've been kind of overlooking is we could benefit from some more universities, both in terms of getting more people able to work these jobs, and also pushing up our research rate, which could be nearly doubled right now, and isn't. But before we do that, I think we do need to handle the trains problem. So we're going to build railways. Once we've built railways, then we'll get into building some more research capacity. I think that's a pretty nice way of going about it. As it stands, I can't afford to, well, we could go up in taxes even more. Another 33,000 would potentially allow us to push production up to 180, 190. But that would cause even more radicals, and right now they're ever so slightly decreasing. And I like that. I don't like radicals. Radicals are bad. Radicals are how we lose our entire thing. So we also will need tea soon. Let's take a look. We can make that in South Cameroon and Celebes. So Celebes has some other stuff we want. Let's go ahead and create 2 in South Cameroon, 1 in Celebes, and just start getting small numbers of those luxury sort of quality of life goods that will make people happy. Alright, so I think that'll be it for today. That's all we've got. We're very close to expanding our colonies, so stick around in case you want to see that and how the colonial game proceeds for Imperial Austria here. Thank you all for hanging around, and we'll see you again real soon.